Finally, our dream home is ready, and we're set to move in just a week. In the midst of this excitement, my husband dropped a surprising revelation. It seems that my mom and the rest of the family have also begun packing up. I was puzzled, so I asked, "Is your mom moving too?" He looked at me like I'd missed something obvious. "Of course, they're moving to the new house," he said. Confused, I asked, "By new house, do you mean your mom bought a place as well?" He seemed baffled by my question. "The new house is the one we bought." I was completely thrown off. "Wait, what do you mean?" "Let me introduce myself. I'm Sage, a 31-year-old chief executive officer, CEO who has always prioritized her career over romance. This intense focus on my job has led to early promotions, various responsibilities, and a position of significant trust within my company. I work for a pharmacy manager, where my role involves visiting healthcare professionals, such as doctors, to provide, collect, and communicate information about the quality, effectiveness, and safety of our products. My daily routine consists of traveling to different hospitals and preparing presentations on new medications for doctors. Even when I'm back in the office, my workaholic nature keeps me busy. My parents have often suggested that if I can't find a good man, maybe I should consider going on blind dates. I usually respond by saying that I don't have time for such things and that I don't want to be indiscriminate about dating. Lately, however, I've started to question whether continuing my life in this single-minded pursuit of work is the right path for me. As a single woman, I've been watching my friends get married one by one. Even my close friend, who used to say we should savor our single lives and travel as much as we could, is now a mother of 2. While I still hold the belief that marriage isn't the ultimate goal in life, I can't shake off the feeling that time might be slipping away, and I might miss out on experiencing marriage altogether. That's when I met Dominic, who eventually became my husband. A friend of mine, aware of my growing concerns, introduced me to him at a party she was hosting. Dominic, who is 5 years younger than me at 27, works as a UI designer. Like me, he had always put his work first, which had led to several failed relationships because he struggled to balance his career and personal life. From the moment we met, I felt a unique connection with Dominic. We both understood the demands of a busy career, so our meetings were always planned around our schedules, which made our relationship feel comfortable and relaxed. Dominic's dedication to his work gave him a serious demeanor, which reassured me that he was someone I could see a future with. Interestingly, Dominic's parents had also encouraged him to think about marriage and had even suggested the possibility of arranged marriages. This similarity in our life circumstances made me feel that Dominic might be the right person for me. After about a year of dating, we decided to get married. My parents were overjoyed at the news, and my mom even cried tears of happiness. It was clear that she was genuinely thrilled for me. My mother cried a lot, not just when we announced our marriage, but also throughout the wedding ceremony. It was clear that she was overwhelmed with joy. However, the start of my married life with Dominic came with unexpected challenges, particularly from my in-laws. Since our house was only a 10-minute walk from my in-laws, we were frequently summoned to their home. My mother-in-law was usually the one calling us over, and it seemed she was always looking for ways to inconvenience me. Whenever we visited, she would make snide comments about me, often in a way that my husband and father-in-law wouldn't notice. Additionally, she would ask me to do household chores under the guise of needing help, such as, "Sage, my back is aching. Could you do the cleaning for me?" "Oh, okay. Great. Could you clean all the rooms and corridors on the first and second floors?" I would be left feeling overwhelmed by the tasks she assigned. Another person who caused me trouble was my sister-in-law. She had a sharp tongue and often insulted me openly, whether or not my husband or father-in-law were around. She would say things like, "Sage, you seem so plain and boring." Though my husband and father-in-law would scold her for her rude behavior, she would simply ignore them and continue with her demands. For instance, she would command, "I want something sweet. Sage, go buy it. And while you're at it, get some ingredients for dinner too." Even though I questioned why I had to do all these things, I initially chose not to confront my in-laws, hoping to avoid conflict. Unfortunately, this only seemed to encourage my mother-in-law and sister-in-law to be even more demanding and harassing. As the frequent visits to my in-laws became increasingly exhausting, I began to tell Dominic that I didn't want to go anymore. When I voiced my frustration, Dominic said, "Well," Dominic told me that he wouldn't force me to visit my in-laws, but he also made it clear that he was disappointed. He said, "They're my family, so please try to get along with them." I felt that if my mother-in-law and sister-in-law had been more considerate and kind, it might have been easier for me to get along with them. Since Dominic didn't insist that I visit them, I managed to avoid going to my in-laws' house for a while. However, I couldn't refuse invitations during Christmas and Thanksgiving, which meant I had to go then. Whenever I did visit, it felt like my mother-in-law and sister-in-law treated me like a new toy just for their amusement. I would remind myself that I only had to endure these visits once or twice a year, and I'd get through them as best as I could. If it weren't for the difficulties with my in-laws, my married life with Dominic would have been almost perfect. He understood how much I loved my job and allowed me to work overtime whenever I wanted. We also shared household chores, and I was genuinely thankful for his support. Dominic also supported my lifelong dream of building my own home. Building my dream house has been a goal of mine since childhood. Even though Dominic was supportive, I decided to finance the construction entirely with the money I saved myself. So, his support was more about understanding my situation rather than direct financial help. The funds for my dream home mostly came from part-time jobs I had during my student years. While I don't usually boast about it, I have a good salary now, which allowed me to save a significant amount each month. This steady saving is why I've accumulated enough funds for the project at this age. Finally, after saving up, I reached the amount needed for the house. I promptly contacted a construction company to start the process. I had done extensive research on floor plans and designs for a long time, so I was ready to move forward with my plans. I had carefully planned and conveyed my ideas about the new house. I suggested, "Dominic, since you're a designer job often requires you to work from home, I thought it would be great to make this space your office. It has plenty of natural light and a nice view outside. I think you'll find it relaxing." Dominic was thrilled with the idea. "That sounds fantastic. I'm really happy with this arrangement. Thank you." Since our dream house was quite far from my in-laws' home, I was hopeful that my mother-in-law and sister-in-law wouldn't be able to visit too often. I eagerly awaited the completion of the house and was excited about moving in. However, just a week before our move, Dominic made a surprising comment. "My parents have been packing up a lot too," he said. Confused, I asked, "What do you mean? Are your parents moving?" He replied, "Of course, they're moving to the new house." My heart sank. "Wait, you mean your parents bought a house too?" Dominic looked at me, puzzled. "The new house is ours. Why are you so confused?" I was taken aback. "Why are your parents moving into our house?" "I don't understand," Dominic explained. "Well, when I talked about our new house, they said they wanted to live there too." I was shocked. "Why did you make that decision on your own? I can't believe this. My dream was to build and live in my ideal home without interference. Why do I have to be disrupted by your parents?" Dominic seemed defensive. "They're my family. Is it really that bad?" I replied, "You may not realize it, but your mother and sister have been very difficult. I've been mistreated by them and I can't live with them." Despite my efforts to explain, Dominic didn't seem to understand. "Stop being so selfish," he said. "Selfish? My mom and sister said they were troubled by your attitude. They just want you to be a good wife. You're siding with them?" I was stunned. "You actually believe them? This is unbelievable. Don't listen to me, do you? You're older, but you act like a child," Dominic snapped. "I'm giving our new house to my parents. If you resist, we'll get a divorce." I was stunned. "What? Are you serious?" He nodded. "Yes, I'm serious. I'm going to visit my parents today. You should stay here alone and cool down. Reflect on your actions." With that, Dominic left to go to his parents' house. I felt my love for him drain away in an instant. After all, he was just like his mother, self-centered and immature. Maybe his behavior had always been this way, but I hadn't seen it clearly until now. The next day, Dominic came back home with a smug look on his face. "Have you reflected on your actions?" he asked. I was taken aback. "Reflect on what? Are you sure about this?" He handed me a stack of papers. "Here are the divorce papers. I've already filled out my part. Didn't I tell you I'm serious? If you're not repentant, we're getting a divorce. Think you can remarry at your age? Just stop being stubborn and listen. Even my parents said they'd forgive you." I was floored. "I understand." "Good girl," he said with a patronizing tone. "If you've learned your lesson, don't defy me again." It was shocking to see Dominic's true colors. Perhaps his arrogance and entitlement had been hidden until I acquired something valuable, like the new house. It was clear now that he only became more arrogant when things went well for him. I was relieved to discover this before we moved in together. I promptly filed the divorce papers and submitted them at the city hall. We were no longer husband and wife, and I no longer had to deal with his family. Fortunately, while Dominic was staying at his parents' house to reflect on his actions, I had the opportunity to move all my belongings to the new house. It was a relief to be able to settle in before he returned. The new house was everything I had hoped for. Every corner was exactly as I had imagined, and I was thrilled to decorate it with new furniture and appliances. The space felt like a dream come true, and I was filled with happiness just being there. Then, out of the blue, my ex-husband showed up at the house. When I checked the intercom video, I saw that he had brought his parents and sister along. I realized I had forgotten to tell him that I had filed for divorce. When I answered the intercom, Dominic's voice came through, sounding irritated. "Open up quickly!" he demanded. "Sorry, I can't do that," I replied calmly. "What are you messing around for?" "Let us in," he continued angrily. "Why are you moving in all by yourself without telling us?" "Sorry, I forgot to inform you," I said. "Just let us in now," he insisted. "That's not possible," I responded. "What I forgot to tell you was that I filed for divorce." "What do you mean?" he asked, confused. "It means I've already submitted the divorce papers you gave me," I explained. "We are no longer husband and wife, so I can't let you or your family into this house." "You can't be serious," Dominic said. "Hey, Dominic, what's this about a divorce?" his mother chimed in. "Didn't you both agree to live together? Even if you're divorced, isn't the house marital property? Why is the wife living here alone?" "That's right," his father added. "Our son should have a right to live here too," I clarified through the intercom. "This house is entirely in my name. I paid for it in full." Dominic's family was clearly taken aback, unable to find words. His mother continued, "Dominic, you always said we could come to your house. What's going on?" "That's the situation," I said firmly. "Can you please leave now?" "Don't joke around with us," Dominic said. "Why should we listen to you?" "If you continue to linger," I warned, "I'll call the police." The mention of the police made Dominic's family go silent, clearly shocked by my resolve. My father-in-law eventually came to apologize. "I'm really sorry, Sage," he said. "We'll leave right away, so please don't call the police." With that, he and the rest of his family got into their car and drove away. It turned out that Dominic and his family faced significant consequences. After learning about how his wife and daughter had mistreated me, my father-in-law was shocked and disbelieving. He decided to divorce his wife and sever ties with both his son and daughter. Meanwhile, the mother-in-law and sister-in-law, having mistakenly believed they would be moving into my new house, had already sold their own home. Left without a place to stay, they had no choice but to rely on Dominic, who now supports them. Unfortunately for him, they blame him for their predicament, accusing him of causing their problems. I can't help but feel a sense of justice in their situation. They are now stuck in a cycle of shifting blame and dealing with financial difficulties, and it feels like a fitting consequence for their behavior. On the other hand, I am enjoying a peaceful and comfortable life in my new home. I frequently invite my parents and friends over, and we have a wonderful time together. While I still hope to find love again someday, having my own place has given me the chance to be more cautious in choosing a partner. I'm determined not to make the same mistake again and to find someone who truly respects and values me.